Well, hello, I'm Gary Whitaker, and I'm here to help you with small groups. This is small group leader training video number one. And the first topic is, what does it take to be a small group leader? What are the essential qualifications or qualities of a small group leader? And these aren't in any particular order. You may think, well, I'm already a small group leader. Why do I need to know this? For a couple of reasons. One is sort of a gut check on yourself. How am I doing in these areas? It's always good to self evaluate. And secondly, because you are also always looking for other leaders, others to co lead your group, or others who eventually will move on and that you might mentor into leading another group that they feel called to do. So, a lot of good reasons to do this. Number one is you have to love people the way that Jesus did. Alex, I'll take what's obvious for 100. Um, yeah, you have to love people the way that Jesus did. You're not going to be an effective small group leader if you don't truly love people, including the problems that they bring, including the gifts that they bring, including um, all of their issues. If that isn't at your heart, like it is the heart of Jesus, you probably won't be terribly effective. And if you're feeling a little bit cold towards your people, it's probably time to go back and look at Jesus and how he loved his people. This is just an example. Mark 6:34. When Jesus went ashore from the Lake of Galilee, he saw a large crowd, and he felt compassion for them because they were like sheep without a shepherd, and he began to teach them many things. So his heart went out for them, and he knew the answer was for them to know truth and to be able to take it in and do that truth. That's one of the reasons that we're there. 1 Timothy 1:5 might be a verse that you look at, and that is the goal of, Paul says to Timothy, the goal of our instruction is love from a uh, pure conscience and a sincere faith. That'd be a good goal for ourselves and for our people. So number one is you have to love people. Number two is you have to love group. You have to love the modality of group. You know that you've heard at Seacoast that we are not a church with groups. We are a church of small groups. It's vital to what we do to have small groups, not just to back up what happens on Sunday morning, but to truly effectively shepherd people. There is no way in large groups we can shepherd people. They have to be done in smaller groups, as Jesus did with his 12. There were things that he taught the multitudes and the crowds, but when he really wanted to get down to the deep stuff and really wanted to minister to people, he did it with 12. So you really have to love the effectiveness of a small group compared to any other way of doing it. Seminars and workshops, you've heard it said, I think it was Andy Stanley who said, circles are better than rows. We can more effectively minister to people if we can see them and if we can interact them as they can see us. So that's number two. Number three would be that you have a healthy, active, vibrant walk with Jesus, that your own walk is not stale. Now, we all go through phases, seasons where it's more alive than others, where we're more walking in the Spirit than others. But do a check. How am I doing with that? How excited do I get to read the Word? How excited do I get to talk to my Father? How excited do I get to walk into church and worship with my brothers and sisters? When I sing the songs, is it touching my heart? Am I singing praises to God or just mouthing the words? When I hear a sermon, am I actively looking for the truths that I might pull out of that, or am I just going through the motions? It happens. We all have sort of dry spells. It'd be good to ask yourself, why am I having this dry spell? You can typically point to a reason, and it's not always because there's sin in your life, although that's one of the first things to look at. But why am I a little dry right now? Am I going through something that I'm not really actively addressing? Is there something I haven't mourned or grieved? Is there a problem I haven't addressed in my life? Is there a relationship that is out of sync, that is in conflict, that I haven't been able to deal with? Those are things that can dry out your spiritual life. We'll talk about burnout in a later session, but to be an effective leader, you want your faith to be fresh and renewed every day in your own quiet time with God. If you're not having your time with God, that could be probably the biggest reason is to have time with him and just tell him, Lord, I'm feeling a little dry right now. I could really use an extra dose of your spirit. And that's a prayer he loves to answer. And you'll find that very soon, if you are seeking him, that you will find him in that way. But your people are looking for that life in you. They're looking for the freshness of your walk. What are you reading in the Word this week is a question I like to ask my group. It's a good temperature gauge for how they're doing. And if they don't have a scripture they can point to, if they don't have an experience with God, if there isn't something that they saw this week that reminded them of the love of God for them, then something's a little off, and then we need to go back to that. How are you experiencing your intimacy with the Lord? So number 3 would be an active walk with Jesus, and I would say number 4 is that you are grace filled. The opposite of that would be judgmental or critical. As a therapist for 40 years, pretty easy sometimes when all I see are problems, or at least many times that's what they come in with is problems and crises that they typically brought on themselves. That I can be problem based and not hope based and not joy based and not grace based. I can easily look at them and say, well, you brought this on yourself. And if I don't say it, I never do. But I might think it, to tell you the truth. I've thought it many times. I say, well, duh, you do that. That's what's going to happen. If you get yourself into an addictive problem, you're going to destroy yourself and the people around you. But there are people who just cannot see it. And if you look at how Jesus interacted with people with all kinds of issues, including maybe an example, a woman who was caught in adultery. There was also a man caught. We don't know what happened to him. But a woman caught in adultery, he was so grace-filled with her. He said, go and sin no more, but I am not here to judge you. He said, he didn't come to judge. He came to seek and to save the lost. He did not come into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved. How am I coming across to others? Do I come across with grace and truth? And that's a hard one to balance. Jesus, of course, did the best job of that because he was grace and truth. Excuse me. But how grace-filled am I? If I'm not feeling kindness toward people, even the predicaments that they got themselves in, I need to remind myself of how much God has done for me. Remind myself of where I've come from and how he saved me and took me out of darkness and into light and out of death into life. And if he saved me, he can save others. If I can do the sins that I have done and the trespasses that I have to own, and he can reach out and grab me and pull me out of that, he can do it with them as well. And I need to be the mediator, the peacemaker of that peace with God. Excuse me, this is allergies, and you can't catch it over the video anyway. Those are 4 things. Okay, one is that I truly love people. I love group. Can't wait to be with my group. The third is that my own walk with God is vibrant and healthy. And fourth is that I come across as a gracious and grace-filled, that I communicate grace to the people in my group. Those are just 4. I know there are others, but those are much more important than what you know, what your theological base is, whether you can answer questions about the Old Testament or New Testament. Much more important that you be someone who reflects the character of Christ. It'll be a long time before you can come close to the knowledge of Christ. So we want to continue to grow in that, but really being the kind of person that you want to be is much important than what you know. All right, that's video number 1. God bless you all. Please respond with comments, questions. Love to hear it, and we'll see you next week. God bless you.